All right, next we're going to be making the color wheel. So you've already drawn your template. You've got 12 circles. I've made them a little darker with pencil, and then we've got some more shapes on the inside, which we'll deal with later. The first thing we're going to do is just that outside ring. Now, I want you to use only 3 colors to create this entire color wheel. We're only going to be using red, blue, and yellow. Now, these are the 3 primary colors. You can theoretically make every color of the rainbow with those. I say theoretically because really you can't. You have to have other things. Now, if every color can be made with just these 3, then why did I give you 16? Because this will save you time and paint, of course. You won't have to mix orange all the time using just your red and yellow over and over again because you'll already have it. However, knowing how to manipulate the colors is super important. If you paint anything with these colors the way they are, your painting, no matter how good it is, will look somewhat elementary, just like the picture on the outside of the box that shows all the colors. Why would it look elementary? Because you are literally using the colors just the way they are from the box. And nobody ever really has enough colors in any box, honestly, to paint anything super realistically with all the different lights and darks that we see in real life. So knowing how to manipulate the colors is super important. Either way, you're only going to be using yellow, red, and blue for this entire assignment. Now notice there are a couple of blues to choose from. We're going to be using the one that I think most people would traditionally consider as blue. So not the turquoise one, but the blue that looks not turquoise. Now, if your palette is a little bit dirty from exercises earlier, then just take a little bit of paper towel and just wipe that section. It'll get clean. Also, when you are painting, you probably noticed your water can get very dirty when you start to use a lot of the black color. Makes sense. It's a very dark color of paint, so you want to be changing your water often. Feel free to change your water anytime you need to. Since you usually start with light colors and work your way to the darks, it's usually not a problem for the first part you're working on something. Okay, so we're going to start with yellow up at the top. And you see it on the template in the same place. Get the yellow a little bit wet. Check it on the palette. Good. And then lay it in where yellow is going to go. Remember to use the same exact order. The order actually tells you what colors make what, in case you forget. It's a reminder. Okay, so there's the yellow circle. All right, next, rinse your brush well, and let's do the red one. Take some of that red paint. Take it over to a new place in your palette. And then add it into the color wheel. Where does it go? Make sure you put it in the right place. Yellow in the middle there at the top. Then 1, 2, 3 spaces. And then it's red. Red, yellow, and blue are spaced equidistant from each other. There is an equal amount of space between those 3 colors because they are a triad. Again, the theory is that the 3 of those colors, just those alone, you should be able to make the rest. And today we will. After you fill in red, switch to blue. Again, liquefy the semi-moist watercolor. Move it to a space on your palette. Since I'm only going to be using these 3 colors, I'm keeping them very separate. Notice a blue area, a red area, and a yellow area. Okay, where does blue go? Blue, again, is equidistant from yellow and red with 1, 2, 3 spaces between them. Okay, looks a little light, so I'm going to go back and get a little bit more blue. Again, if it gets too wet and you still need to layer on another coat, just wait for it to dry. That makes it a little easier. Mine's okay. All right, so now we have the 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Rinse your brush. Now I know that you have the secondary colors available in your kit. I see green, I see violet, and I see orange. But in order to learn how to make all these colors from scratch and how to manipulate them, you need to know how to mix them. So orange happens to be equidistant from red and yellow. That should remind you on how to make it. Red plus yellow together will create orange. So now, got some of that red. And I'm going to mix it with some of that yellow. So I'll go back to the yellow. Mix it with the red there. Now I've got an orange. Now notice, this orange is different from the one that's included in your kit. So if that orange in your kit isn't the orange you're looking for, you can make your own. Now, some of you say, how do you know if it's red, orange, or orange? Well, intention matters. In other words, if you were trying to get orange and what you got doesn't look like what you think orange is, then you didn't get it. You got red, orange, or something else. Okay? Again, mix the red and the yellow together and you'll get an orange. When you feel like you've got something that can be considered orange, it'll probably be darker than the one in the kit. That's fine. Use that. If it looks too yellowish, that's yellow-orange, and we'll do that in a minute. Now I think I've got something I'm happy with that I would consider orange. And I'm going to lay it into the color wheel. You can always reference the paper copy from your kit. Orange. Next, let's do green. Green's down here between blue and yellow because it takes blue and yellow to make green. So now I'm going to take some of that yellow and mix it up in this green, blue area and make a new green. Notice that this green is also different from the two greens that are in your kit. It's a whole nother green. Okay. Next, violet. Now violet, orange, and green are the three secondary colors. And a secondary color is made anytime you mix two primary colors together. So the last two primary colors that we have not used, red and blue, as a mix, will create violet. Get some more red. Some of that red there. Some of that blue. And the violet you'll get here will be different from the violet that is included in the kit. This one's a little more of a grapey violet. It's kind of nice. Great. So now we've got the three primary colors, blue, red, and yellow. The three secondary colors, green, orange, and violet. Now is the third set of colors, the tertiary colors. These are the in-betweeners, tertiary, third group. There they are. Now, their names tell you exactly how they're made. For example, this is yellow-green. What do you think makes yellow-green? Yellow and green. Between orange and yellow, yellow-orange. Between red and orange, red-orange. Between violet and red, red-violet. Between blue and violet, blue-violet. And between green and blue, blue-green. And yellow-green over here. Okay, so those are the ones we'll make next. Now when you make these, you do want to try your best to make sure that they are mixtures of the colors you've already created. In other words, you still have to use the green that you just made to make your yellow-green, unless you don't have any left. If you don't have any left, make more, but don't go for the green that's already included because it is different. Okay, so it's about the green here I see, and I'm going to make that green. If I need to make more, you know how. Blue and yellow. Get a little more yellow up in there. There's that green that I just made. Looks pretty close to it. I'm going to add a little more yellow because I'm trying to make yellow-green. Yellow-green is going to look like maybe a Granny Smith apple. There we go. And it looks different from the yellow, from the thing that maybe you thought was yellow-green in the kit. There's more of a yellow-green. Okay. Next, blue-green. That's an easy one because on my palette those two are right next to each other. Just mix them together. Pretty. Came out a little thin, so after it dries, I'll give it a second coat. If I do that second coat right now, it'll sort of just blend together and not really effectively create a second coat. So I'm going to wait on that one. To make blue and violet, I do have a little bit of violet up here still, so I'll mix some blue directly into that. It's a pretty new color. If you get a color that looks just like the others, in other words, you're trying to get blue-violet, but you get blue, then you've done something wrong. No big deal. Try to add more of the other color. Okay, next, between red and violet, we're going to make red-violet. So now it's about red and the violet. Now it looks like my violet is kind of mixed up. So I'm going to make some more. Okay, back to the violet there. You can hold your brush over the area. These are what we would consider the cool colors, and now we're in the warm area, the colors that are made primarily from red and yellow. Okay, so we're making violet here. We've got that violet again, which matches the one we had before. Now we're going to add a little bit of red to that. Rinse your brush between colors. Try to keep consistent with that. Okay, and we'll make a new color, red-violet. If it doesn't look changed enough, keep going until it does. Now you know you've got to create something that fits comfortably between red and violet. If it looks too much like violet, then add more red. If it looks too much like red, then add more violet. I still think that could be a little redder, thinking more like those nice red-violet grapes. There you go, that's a new color, different from the one next to it, going both directions. Okay, next we'll do red-orange. Okay, so we go and get that red and orange. We've already got some still on the palette. Remember, if you can't find any more or you run out, just make more. When you do make more, make sure you try your best to match the old color that you're trying to replace. And don't use the original colors from over here, the oranges and the greens that are in the set. Okay, don't use those. Remember, we're only using blue, red, and yellow for all of these colors. Okay, so you should get something that isn't quite red and isn't quite orange. Red-orange. Okay, and lastly, yellow-orange. So the color I just made is red-orange, so that really won't help me make yellow-orange because it's so much red. So instead, to this yellow bit here, I don't need any more yellow for now. I'll go ahead and add the orange directly to it. So to do that, just add some red. And then go back to the yellow. Remember, we're trying to get a color that comfortably fits between these two. So it's going to be not orange, not yellow, but something in between. A little more yellowish in that one. There we go. Whoops. Cool. All right, it's maybe more like a pumpkin, right? Or yellow-orange. Okay, so now we've got the whole outside edge done, showing off our primary colors, our secondary colors, and our tertiary colors. The next group is going to be this ring here. What you're going to do is take two of these outside edge colors, mix them together, and then thin it a bunch with water and place it in here. These are going to be very, very light tints. Tints are colors plus white, or in the case of watercolor, color plus a lot of paper showing through. In this smaller circle, we're going to be taking those mixes again, but adding a tiny bit of black. And it really does have to be a tiny bit. If it's too much, we won't be able to tell where these colors came from. So let's start working on that first outer ring. Any color you want to start with, any two colors you want to start with. So I'm looking at my palette to make it easy on myself. I see the yellow-orange I just used, and I see yellow, and yellow is easy to get more of. You're going to take those two colors, mix them again. It'll get even more diluted, and you'll add water. So there's that yellow orange. I got a bunch of it still on the palette. I'm gonna add more yellow. Now I've got that yellow orange mix. Yellow orange, if you will. Now I thin it with water. Now you might start to run out of places to mix on your palette. Soak it up with a paper towel, wipe it. No problem. You don't have to take the whole lid off and wash it. You can just clean individual sections. Okay, so now I've added a bunch of water using my brush as a little spoon. And now let's see. Okay, perfect. A really light tint of those two colors mixed together. And that's all we really should see. Notice, that color is a new color. It's not in the palette already. Could be useful. Okay, next, keep going in that direction or in any direction. I would say use the colors that are adjacent. So if you start here, go to the left or right from there rather than bouncing all over the place, because these colors are obviously related. So we've got the outside of the color wheel done. We've got the inside first level done. Those are the tints. That's all these color mixes together with just water to thin them. Remember, if you were using other types of paint, you'd probably mix white with those two colors to get this lovely tint. But in watercolor, all you have to do is add water. Now, to do the inside circle, we're going to be adding a tiny speck of black. And remember, the colors in these puddles changes very quickly. So too much black will make the whole puddle change, and you'll kind of have to work backward. That's not a big deal in watercolor. It's not like you have to go back to a gallon paint container somewhere and pump some paint onto a palette. You've got all the colors here in front of you, so it's easy to sort of go backward and mix them. Either way, let's start with what I've got on the palette, if anything's recognizable. How about these yellow greens, okay? So now it's the same two colors on the outside mixed together, like yellow green here and yellow. Together, we added water earlier. Now it's going to be yellow, green, and green together with a tiny bit of black to create a dark color. It's going to go in that spot. And I mean a tiny bit. Barely touch the brush to the black. That's probably enough to give you an interesting color change. If it goes completely dark, go backward. Try it again. Okay, you might get something interesting like that. Cool. Next, the one right next to it. Yellow, green, and regular green. Again, we're not using these colors. We're only using red, yellow, and blue for this entire color wheel. Just the three primary colors together. Okay, so we'll get a little more, this looking more like greenish. There's a little blue. There we go. And then a speck of black. If we go too far, looks like we went too far. I'm going to try and scoop as much else as I can in there. Try to dilute it a little bit. It's pretty dark. Let's see. Well, I can still tell that it's greenish, so that's good. If it goes so dark that it just looks black, then that's definitely one you want to try again. Okay, that's going to work okay for that spot. Okay, let's check. We'll keep going, working our way around the edge. Okay, so now it's going to be this green, regular green, plus blue green. Okay, so we're going to go with the blue green. Like a new spot, a new set of blue green. First green, then a little bit extra blue to make the blue green. Trying to make like what I have on the outside there. And then I'm going to take that and mix it up with a little regular green, which I might have a little bit of remnants of over here. Now these colors are going to be really close together and all very similar, but there are subtle changes, and those subtle changes are what you're looking for when you're painting. You're looking for the realistic, subtle changes in light. That's what color is. Color is all about light. Without light, of course, there's no color. You won't be able to see anything. All right? In fact, that is the definition of color. The effect of light on things. That's about as basic as you can get it. Okay, so now blue, green plus blue, and then continue to work your way around the color wheel. So we're almost done. We're continuing our way around. Now it's going to be a little bit more of the red, orange, and the orange together with a little bit of black mixed in. Remember, even though these are very dark, I hope even in the video you can still tell where they came from. They aren't just black paint. There's stuff in there. and they do look different. At first, maybe they start to look alike, but as you can see, as they dry, they do look different. And again, it is that subtle difference in colors that you're looking for when you're trying to paint from real life. I'm almost done. I'm going over here on this side, the warm side now. It's orange plus yellow orange, and then plus a tiny bit of black. There's so many colors on this palette, I can just grab it from anywhere now. And now you know how to make brown. Orange and a tiny bit of black can get you all kinds of shades of brown. Also orange and blue, the dark blue, will give you a lot of different varieties of brown. Okay, and then this last one is going to be yellow, orange, and yellow. Cheating a little bit just by adding yellow directly to my puddle that was a minute ago, a combo of orange and yellow, orange, and black. I think it'll be okay. Okay, and then a tiny bit of dark from right there. Now this watercolor color wheel, when finished, it won't be as vibrant as a color wheel you would do, say, with tempera paint or acrylic paint, and it doesn't even look as vibrant as the paints in the palette or in the set, and that's fine. Watercolor never really wants to look like it does in the container. In fact, that would be too bright. Notice the difference between the paint on your paper and the paint in the set. The paint in the set is shiny. It is reflecting light. There's too much of it for it to be part of a painting. The paint that is dry and on the paper is not shiny at all. That's important because if it stays shiny, that means it is still semi-moist, like the paint in the container, and your painting will be sticky like the tops of the paints even when they're not used. So remember, watercolor is meant to be transparent. Even in dark colors, you should kind of still see through to the paper. Okay? When you're all finished, you can label the colors with the names from the original reference paper if you want, or be sure to add in some of the vocabulary words, and they are listed in Canvas under color, like cool, warm, triad, lights, darks, primary, and secondary.